Alright, I'm back again for another video. So, for the subject of today, I would like to address this phenomenon. This is something I've been thinking about for a while. Something that keeps bugging me, and I see it quite consistent with a lot of franchises, which is basically this weird ass behavior of jumping on what you may call it the hate bandwagon. It's definitely something I already covered in some of my previous videos, but I never really took the time to sit and actually elaborate about what is so fucked up about this problem. A good example, as you may notice, is the season of Dragon Ball GT and the sheer amount of hate that it has received from the crowd. You look closer at the situation, you watch the season, you watch it again, and then you try to compare it to the reaction of the audience, and you see how disproportional the hate is. Like, if you have never watched the season and you just listen to what the people are saying, you will think that it's one of the worst things that have ever happened. You will probably think that it's a flap, that somehow they rip it off or something. But that was not the case at all. Dragon Ball GT is highly consistent. It really matches the level of the previous seasons. Yeah, you may prefer Dragon Ball Z over Dragon Ball GT, which is completely understandable because it's just there's more content. The previous villains are way much more classic. The fights are longer than the ones in Dragon Ball GT. But with that said, again, the sheer amount of hate and the way how the season has been bashed by the people makes no fucking sense. Yet this very same people are actually hyping some very, very mediocre franchises out there. Basically, some very stupid shows that I would never dare to sit and watch. Something like Jujutsu Kaisen, or something like I don't know, it's some other random trash that has received so much hype from the audience. Doesn't even match the quality of entertainment you are going to receive from Dragon Ball GT. And this is the irony. This is the hypocrisy that I cannot stand. This is the very reason why I decided to make this video. And unfortunately, this pattern, I see it happening very consistently with so many franchises. Another good example would be the reboot of DMC by Ninja Theory back in 2013. Again, same reaction. A bunch of idiots, mostly kids, who just decided to jump on this bandwagon of bashing the new Devil May Cry simply because somebody didn't like the new haircut of the protagonist. So the whole work, the whole game is gonna be bashed, is gonna be criticized, is gonna receive so much hate simply because they have decided to change the physical looks of the protagonist just because it does look like the original one. Look, I play the games. I'm one of what you may consider pioneers when it comes to early evangelists, early fans of this franchise. I owned a PS2 back in 2001. I played Devil May Cry the same year it's being launched, before most people even knew what that game was about. I was already there playing the game. I bit the first game, I bit the second game, I bit the third game. I never bit the fourth one, but I did watch the walkthrough on YouTube. So I'm quite familiar with the game. I know what is it like, I know what is it made of, and I saw it. I watched it coming from the underground all the way until it reached its final form. And I'm telling you, DMC wasn't bad at all. And even right now, if you go and watch any of those retrospective videos about this game, you're gonna find out that a lot of people are going to admit that they were wrong, and that the only reason why they decided to bash the game back then is because everybody was doing it. It is a sheer groupthink. Like, these schoolers, these pseudo gamers, should not be taken seriously. Matter of fact, they should be taken to account as a content creator. You gotta be very careful when it comes to who you're listening to. And now they switching from criticizing the gameplay to criticizing the story plot. They think that, oh, there's too much politics in it, and the story plot is not as smart as it seems to be, which is not true. I think that the story plot is highly compelling, is way much more mature than previous stories. I think there is a lot that you could learn from the story, from the character development. People are also bashing the character of Virgil. They don't think he's as cool as the previous versions. Why? Because it's not as edgy. So everything has to be edgy nowadays. It doesn't have to be that edgy. Way too many edgy characters out there. Way too many edge lords in this audience, in this industry. By the way, it's kind of getting a little bit too cliche. We gotta switch into the different archetypes. There are other options out there. You can't just keep on replicating the same formula, trying to come up with the same outcome. It's getting boring. It's stupid. Again, very common, very consistent. Another great example I would like to throw is the example of the game Watch Dogs. I don't know if you remember back then when Ubisoft decided to launch the game, they kind of rushed the game, which is true. They downgraded the quality of the graphics, they rushed it out, and the game was quite boring. But if you listen to what the people were actually talking about back then, they just didn't like the fact that the main protagonist was kind of somehow broody, kind of like dark. They think it's boring. They think he was lame. He was boring. He was too depressed, which is not the case, in my opinion. As a hardcore fan of games, and as a content creator myself, I'm telling you, the character of Aiden Pierce and most, if not all, the main cast of the first game are highly well developed, and so is the story plot. A good example, like characters like Jory, or character like Iraq, for instance. Iraq, who is basically playing a secondary antagonist in the story. You look at the character of Iraq, for instance, and it's, to me, like it's a masterpiece when it comes to character development, like a good example of what a good secondary antagonist could be. When it comes to the design of the character, when it comes to the charisma, the voice actors who play the character, when it comes to the role he played within the grand scheme of the story plot itself. Let's take a look at the example of Iraq. So Iraq, when he's introduced the first time, he looks like an African American street dog, like a gangbanger. But as the stories progresses, you start learning more and more about how he's deeply entrenched within the issue the main protagonist is dealing with. So I understand, like with the story, the first game, the whole city is run by this operator system called the CTOS. Okay, and the CTOS is like the company who runs this software has access to pretty much anything electronic in the city, and the protagonist has basically managed to hack into that operator system, and he can just use this app on his phone to access and control pretty much everything within this fictional Chicago. So you can basically trick the traffic light and cause some car accidents. You can maybe open bridges. You can shut down the power grid and cause some blackouts. You can hack to the ATM machines, even the vending machines. So basically anything run by the software you have access to. But when it comes to the character of Iraq, for instance, he can manage to disconnect himself from the CTOS. So he went into this ghost mode and took control over this abandoned complex, this project compound of abandoned buildings, and managed to use his own hacking skills. So he's just as talented as the protagonist, but he's using his gift in a quite malevolent way. So he's using his hacking skills and his military background as a way to create this kind of isolated piece of land in the middle of the city. And the way he does it is by installing a different software that he has complete control over. He's also using his military weaponry to protect the territory. And he's also using his hacking skills in order to blackmail the most powerful people. And that goes from politicians, the police, the most powerful criminals within that criminal underworld. And these are like things you learn about the character as you are progressing, as you're walking down the path, the story is unfolding itself, and you are bit by bit realizing that you are facing a serious kingpin within the entire city. And this is the kind of shit that you rarely see in games. This is also the kind of shit a casual moron, uh, a pseudo fan of games would not appreciate. He doesn't even have the ability to sit and actually give it a chance. And here's the sad part. The game designers of Watch Dogs, they were kind of a little bit open. So they were listening to what these weirdos are whining about. And they basically try to answer to their request. So one of the criticisms was like, oh, the game is too gloomy, the protagonist is too broody, it's kind of depressing. We want it to be a little bit more colorful, more like joyful. So they did that, and guess what? The whole new cast of the second episode was trash. Like the whole cast, they look like they were literally woke kids with this, I don't know how you say it, this enthusiasm of going toe to toe with the villain corporate establishment. We are going to overthrow the capitalist villains. It's so cliche. It's so childish. What are we even learning from this story? Those characters, they are not even compelling. They are not as mature as the previous episode. Here's the other part. The video game developers literally answered to everything the audience was criticizing. They changed the entire landscape and the theme of the story. They changed the main casts of the story. They even fixed the gameplay itself and made it way much more enjoyable. They fixed the issue with the constant repetition. Like they made the missions way much more fun. And guess what? No one bought the game. You hear that? It flapped. And the reason why is because you should not take those people seriously. Most of the people, when they talk, most of the people who criticize, when it comes to Watch Dogs, when it comes to DMC, when it comes to Dragon Ball GT, just understand, as a content creator, and I want you to be quite careful with this, do not fall for it. They're gonna criticize, they're gonna whine, but when it comes to financial support, they're not gonna buy your game. They're not gonna buy they're not gonna watch your show. They don't give a fuck. They're just doing it because they jump on that bandwagon. They want to say the trendy thing because they think it's gonna somehow get them some respect from the community. It's all what it is. Like these schoolers, these weirdos, they are dangerous. They have killed so many franchises. And by the way, the reason I call them schoolers, I'm referring to the school of fish. They are schoolers. They kind of like, it's a fear-based mindset. It's the safety in group. It's literally groupthink. And groupthink is a dangerous pathological social phenomenon. It has always been one of the biggest challenges in our history. And video games or this audiovisual entertainment industry overall is not going to be an exception to it. So again, as a content creator myself, and if you are listening and you are also a content creator, just take that to account. Do not listen to the bottom tier of your audience. Do not listen to the mass. You can still take some of their feedbacks, but don't just like answer to everything they talk about and expect they're gonna actually celebrate it. They're gonna actually buy your product, because all we're gonna receive from those broke ass weirdos is crickets. They are broke. They are unintelligent. They don't have the mental capacity to appreciate genuine work. And unfortunately, this is the curse of our society, is that the more genuine your work is, the more ahead of its time is, the more it is going to be misunderstood by the mass, and the more hate it is going to receive. So just get your shit ready, be prepared. If you are like really willing to drop some genuine work, it's gonna be hard, man. And the more prepared you are mentally, the less painful the transition, the experience is going to be. But again, the truth it unveils itself at a slow pace, unfortunately. So this video, they got away with it in a short run, but over the course of time, as the time goes by, as the truth unveils itself, now they are being exposed. Now they are feeling embarrassed. Now they want to rectify the damage. It's too late. You know, you get like a other Dragon Ball, the new one, the Dragon Ball Super, which is something I didn't even watch. I did watch some of the fights, but I'm just kind of a little bit too old for that shit. I'm not gonna sit and watch that, and it's not even that good. I know they're like, oh, actually, Dragon Ball GT wasn't as bad. Now that they have like a taste of what a bad Dragon Ball is, now they want to appreciate GT. Same thing they did with DMC, and the same thing they did with Watch Dogs. I was watching a little retrospective about Watch Dogs. I'm scrolling down in the comment sections, and people that are like actually admitting that they were wrong about the story plot and about the character, about the cast. They are literally contradicting what they were saying 10 years ago. Why does it have to be this way? Why can't people be slightly more intelligent, more astute, and learn how to distinguish the high quality, genuine work from the trash? It's not that hard. But again, it's just the curse of humanity. It's always been like that. Like I'm saying, entertainment industry is not an exception. So be ready.